Pisces, this is your November 2023 soul story. If you have a sun rising or your moon is in the sign, this is your reading for the month ahead. Thank you for joining me. It's Romy here. We are going to open up this month with the energy of the Ace of Pentacles. Will it ever be the same again? Will you ever be the same again? No, it will be better. This is the season of rebirth and reinvention. And yes, we may still be processing, but that doesn't mean that you cannot be incredibly purposeful through the month of November. And you will be encouraged by your own progress this month, because you definitely have some green lights, and planetary wise, everything is gearing up to help inspire you to take action. Saturn is going to station direct on the 4th of the month in your sign, and it's coming in at 0 degrees. So you will really feel like, some of the heavier restrictions or responsibilities being held back, having that sense of having to go over things again and again, trying to make improvements and adjustments. All of a sudden, the kind of floodgates open and we get that energy that feels like, yes, okay, now this is moving. Now I sense and feel into the momentum of it. And, the water energy of Scorpio season speaks your language. It holds a depth and a mystery that helps to awaken something within you. And November is certainly a month of heightened awakening. And I think it's always a really interesting play when we work with, Scorpio and then Sagittarius energy, because it kind of invites us in the first part of the month to focus and to zoom right in and to get incredibly intimate with what's going on in our life and with ourselves. And then we have this gear change where we then have to kind of zoom right out in Sagittarius energy and try to see the bigger picture. And it's such a powerful journey that we take. And, you're really being asked this month to fall in love with everything that is yet to come. It's definitely a keep going kind of a month. And, the moon comes in and there is this sense, because we always get a bit of a preview in November of the type of energy we'll be working with through the course of 2024, but we're given like fragments of the story, pieces of the puzzle, not the full thing. So you're being given access to, through your dream state, your meditations, through some of the signs and synchronicities that are showing up, through the way that you're taking action and the new paths that are kind of forging for you, that you've carved out from some of the more tedious, more difficult struggles that you may have encountered over the last few weeks and months. But there's still a sort of quality of it feeling a little bit unknown and uncertain. And right now, you may sort of feel like there are still some parts of you that are feeling into an intense struggle, but it quickly becomes your strength this month. And I think there will be some intense conversations taking place through the month of November, but they're very helpful and they do lead somewhere. And I think the revelation that comes, even though sometimes it can activate within us some fear or some uncertainty, and we're trying to kind of figure out what we really feel about something, so it's quite layered and complex. At the same time, I think it also almost gives you permission to have this freedom to change. And, you've already been kind of playing with these possibilities and sort of dipping in and out of different frequencies, different versions of yourself. But there's something that gets kind of anchored in. And the moon is sort of part of that storyline, the kind of lunar gravitational sort of inextricable desire to kind of move in a certain direction, to take a certain course of action. Like that's going to feel quite compelling for you through the course of November. So Venus will move out of Virgo and into Libra on the 8th of the month. Loves to be in this sign, so it's going to bring some harmony to the encounters that we have. It may well help with commitment, especially as we're in Scorpio season where we have this desire to want to bond and sort of have some sense of exclusivity. So you might see that coming through in your, personal relationships, but also in sort of work setups, or, just wanting to have that sort of knowledge that your agreement or the discussions or sort of the way forward does give you some sense of exclusiveness. The Hierophant, of course, talks about commitment, but there's also a reminder for lessons learned here. We can't skip over everything that we've just gone through. We're coming to the final few weeks of 2023, and this is like a huge opportunity for you to kind of make quite a bold statement in terms of, okay, this is how I want to move forward. This is how I want to live my life. This is what I expect. These are the boundaries I have. These are the things I've learned. This is where I'm still teaching and educating and informing myself. And there is a need, especially through November, because it has this heightened, awakened feeling with it, that you are kind of coming to the table with a willingness to be open. Sometimes we can become a bit rigid in the tradition or the way things have always been done with the Hierophant. But the moon has unlocked something deeper within you. And it's like, once we know, we can't go back. And, it's an incredible time. Of course, we will welcome the 1111 portal happening. And there's a Mars opposition Uranus aspect this year, which brings about a kind of tug of war, these competing ideas and forces. And sometimes that can feel, like it's a little disharmonious, but, the sort of shock nature of this can also propel us in our understanding. And it also brings about with Uranus quite a galactic energy. And as we work through these portals and we're kind of tapped into frequencies that ordinarily perhaps we're not so open or, in an energy of receiving, then that also tells us that the communication, the exploration of really being able to harness and work with some of these new energies that have come through this year is going to be incredibly potent and powerful through the course of this year. Around that time, you may even come into contact with a new teacher, a new spiritual mentor, or somebody that you feel is kind of speaking in a way that really helps you to transcend a lot of what has gone before and really open yourself up to, like, where are we heading and how do I need to open my mind? In fact, having your mind opened is like almost like a prerequisite to kind of being able to get through the month of November. So expect that to happen at every twist and turn. And, the struggle then becomes the strength, because there's a level of persistence and even relentlessness, in your belief that helps you to break through something. And with that, I feel we end up in a situation where something happens that's better than what we'd expected or hoped for. There's more to work with. The energy is quite charged and it brings in a sense of accomplishment. So that bodes well around work and career for you with the Ace and the 8 coming in. But it's a material manifestation time. And of course, you want to harness that through the work that you do around 1111. I've got a really beautiful energy activation that I'd love you to check out for that, for your rituals. But then we have our new moon in Scorpio arriving on the 13th at 20 degrees. And with this one, we have the sun opposite Uranus. So we have a continuation of this sort of extreme, slightly erratic, maybe a bit unpredictable desire to wake up and shake up. And, for some of you, again, it might be in your learning, in your workspace environment. But again, that's important because as you unlock, you're able to go further, deeper into your own subconscious, but also into ideas and the exploration of things that previously you may never have really entertained or thought it was possible to kind of feel were becoming the new normal, if you like. So I think in and around that new moon, we do have some tension and we've got some sort of competing forces, but at the same time, I feel for you it's quite cathartic, and it almost like gives you a bit of a leverage to have like powerful discussions and negotiations, especially around what you're advocating for in your work, in your career, in things that you're learning, and again pertaining around commitment, around what you're expecting. And there's just this quite assertive sort of stance that I see you being able to take. And of course, we know when we work through Scorpio season, it lights up the 9th house for you. So you do have this much wider perspective. And you're also seeking like the freedom to explore and roam new things and new ideas. So you're kind of going to be pushing the envelope a little bit through the course of November. And, maybe that'll in and of itself sort of rattle a few cages. But I do think what also lands in and around that time is you receiving something, or, someone even, that you didn't know you needed. You didn't know you needed until it came, and then you were like, how did I ever live without this? And it will become an incredibly irreplaceable part of your life. You will use it, you will depend on it, you will look to it for inspiration. And the magician tells me that actually, it is supposed to be this very active, dynamic, participatory, experience that you have with what shows up for you through the course of November. And, this is where I see this kind of purposeful energy that emerges. We have to tell people how good we are. Sometimes you need to kind of be that champion for yourself. And, there's a kind of sometimes, a suppressed voice, or, a kind of imposter syndrome, or what if I'm vulnerable and they don't like me? All of these sort of narratives that the ego sort of tries to place in, the barriers to kind of get in our way of being able to kind of really shine and express and move towards the things that we want. But the magician here is just saying, come on, like, this is time, like, you have to get out there in the world and you have to go after the thing that you want, and you have to kind of feel deserving of it and claim it and tell people why you are deserving of it. And it's that transparency, that openness, but it's also that sort of belief in better for yourself and also for the collective. Because remember, the ways in which we change and heal and grow individually is what helps the whole collective move in the right direction. And we are at a critical crossroads point. The timelines, are demonstrating to us that if we look in the wrong direction, there is a far darker, more dystopian, more upsetting, discordant energy that looms. And yet, what we bring as spiritual beings, as soul beings, holding the energy of the light, doing the work on ourselves, is a future that's very, very different. And you have a vibrancy and a groundedness and a purposefulness and a opportunity for rebirth that really helps to awaken something within you that's very much needed at this moment in time. Now, the 17th has a really beautiful lineup with Mars trining Neptune, the Sun conjunct Mars, Sun trining Neptune. So what we end up with around this date, this energy, is being able to almost like harness some of the ideas that have been floating around in our consciousness. And sometimes when you're just like, oh, what was that? I can't quite grab it. Well, you grab it and then you're able to kind of channel it and take a meaningful, important action against sort of grounding it in or integrating it or bringing it to life, manifesting it in some ways. Again, the magician really helping you with that. So look out in and around that date, because from the disruption of some of the Uranus energy of the portal and the new moon, it's almost like you are kind of pushed slightly out your comfort zone with things, and maybe challenged a little bit in some of the shocking or surprising information that lands. But again, it sort of helps create this sense of infinite possibilities, and it might even create a whole new plan for you. So you might find this late stage in the game of this year, even though a lot of things were perhaps sort of set down and you were quite aligned with the way that you wanted to approach or to deal with something, there could be some curveballs here, but not in a way that's damaging to you. Far from it. Just in a way that like, oh, I know how to make this better. I know how to make this better. And this is where we see that even if you are facing some of the same problems this month that have been around you for days, weeks, months, years even, you yourself have grown and changed and evolved so much that it is completely inevitable that you are now going to respond and see them differently. And this is part of what November helps to activate. It kind of gives you this opportunity to formulate this new plan. And there is tension with that, because it does feel like some of these intense conversations I see playing out, you know, they're productive, they're progressive, they get you somewhere, but they also mean that you do have to kind of push your agenda a little bit. And if it comes from, your highest good, if it's fueled from a place of love and understanding, based on your experiences, then, you will be in a position where something will end up in your favor or better than you expected. So keep that in mind. Pallas Athena, asteroid goddess, shifts into Scorpio on the 19th. And remember, she helps with strategies. You can really call her energy in this month. It's going to help you to get to the heart of something. And, she offers such incredible insight. But there is a sort of ruthless, relentless need to uncover and discover something when we're working with Pallas Athena and Scorpio. But that can serve you incredibly well. Nothing will be, nothing will pull the wool over your eyes this month. Yeah, you will absolutely see everything that you need to see. The important approach that we need to take, though, as we talked about this focusing in with Scorpio, getting everything that you need, all the information, like rooting around there in the dark and saying, okay, I can call it, I can see it. But then this detached ability to kind of zone right out and say, well, okay, like how does that fit in with this much bigger picture? Because what that does is it's going to help you to ensure that any actions you take or words you speak, are rooted in a place that helps you move forward rather than keeping you stuck or progressing back into like an old dynamic. Because sometimes what we unroot is a few skeletons in the closet as much as, being able to see new information or things in a new light. So we come into Sagittarius season, 10th house for you, how you're making a mark in the world. And again, as I said, we have this freedom to explore and to roam. So there's certainly something that feels like it opens up as a result of the work that you've done, might I say. So that means that you have to kind of take some sense of ownership to make a change in your life, which you will. And it brings about a result very quickly for you. Now we have a full moon in Gemini arriving on the 27th at 5 degrees, which is opposite Mars. So again, we're challenged. It's like, you know what's right for you. You're making the progress, but it just feels that every twist and turn you're having to explain yourself again. And perhaps connected as well to news that's broken or news that you've shared or something that's been expressed. You might be challenged in regards to that, having to defend. So, you might feel a little bit unsettled. But, we see the target, we see the bullseye here. We kind of have the clear focus of why we're doing what we're doing. And so the revelationary nature of that full moon, for me, when I tune into Pisces, it's just like, it just serves to kind of validate for you, well, I'm on the right track and I know this, and this is not a surprise to me. So come at me, do your best, because this is where I stand, and this is the important thing for me. This is my priority, and this is what I'm going to continue to say and to share and to express and to invest myself in. And there is a beautiful kind of creative surge that also comes through, and you will feel incredibly disciplined through November. So again, if that's been a struggle for you, you will find that discipline returns, especially with Saturn stationing direct. But some of the energies that are coming through for you, I think that's going to be incredibly helpful. And we do see meaningful progress across the board with those areas that have felt like they've been a continuing source of pain for you. Remember though, you have to keep falling in love with everything that is yet to come. So if you are new to the channel, our last 3 cards we cover in my extended reading, talk for another 30 minutes or so, deeper into the month, but also we look at a personal question and a relationship card for you. So you can find the link for that in the comment and description box if the reading resonates for you. I hope you'll join me. I'm just going to clarify the cards now, see the direction we'll take that extended reading in. I just want to call out that this month the dragon energy has been really activated as I've been tuning in, and so we've got a couple of dragon oracle decks. I also created a Dragons of Light guided meditation for you, which you can work beautifully in with the 1111 portal and also that new moon Scorpio, but just to receive and to witness their teaching, their directive, the messages that they have to share right now. High Priestess, Ace of Cups. So again, you'll find the links for that in the comment and description box. November is also the season where I put out all of my seasonal offers. So for the whole month, you'll find across my sacred titles, my deck, my book, Goddess and Angel reports, and very, very limited, have to get in there quick, guide and gift, personal recorded one-to-one readings for next year, which I've been doing for the last few years. So you can find all of the details in my website and social media, so just be sure to tune in for those. Okay, Devil, Seven of Swords with that Magician. Let's pull one more. Wheel of Fortune. Interesting. All the decks I use are listed always in the comment and description box as well. Okay. Got some really strong majors coming through again this month. Okay. I think what you will really feel, this is Life Soul Vision, which is my own deck, by the way, what you really will feel is the sense of validation that you've made the right decisions and choices through the course of this year. Yeah, even when they seemed ludicrous, even when they went in complete opposition to what a lot of well-meaning people around you had to say, there's definitely some sense of validation that emerges for you in November around that. Soul Stories, Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender. We have Soothe Your Soul. We have Earth Star Energy, Spirals of Love and Grief. And we have the Spirit Bear, Ancestral Protection. Lovely. Okay. We're going to have a look at some dragon oracles for you now. What do we have for Pisces for November? You have the Silver Dragon, illuminates your potential with higher light. Access untapped resources, look into your soul, see higher possibilities. Beautiful. We will cover more in-depth messages around these oracles, of course, in the extended. So one final card for Pisces. Emergence. Beautiful. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do be sure to check out my seasonal offers, 11/11 and Dragon's Light activations. I will see you next month for our final soul story of 2023. Bye.